What's going on, world? What's going on, Japan, gamers? So, we have another numbskull here who says that we're wrong about Assassin's Creed. He tries to make it seem like, everything's okay at the beginning of his video, but as you start to watch a lot more, you'll start to realize his ignorance and how he doesn't still mention key things of why this game is such a massive issue. And even if you did remove Yusuke, there would still be so many issues, and that the only reason he's blown up is because of the way they wanted to present him and insult the Japanese male in his game. But there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot more wrong with this game. Y'all know that I've covered this for a very long time. So I seen this video and I'm like, wait, we're wrong about Assassin's Creed Shadows. Let me see what you have to say to where you can make us be wrong because that's not going to happen, obviously. What you're going to do is you're going to get put in your place by me. And then, two, let's see what he thinks is right. So let's start off with this little part right here, which I think is funny. Like, subscribe, y'all. You know I'm not going to ever be done with this subject till it's completely gone. We're going to get on Ghost of Yote. And we're just going to attack anything in the industry that comes in like this. But, you know, I'm going to have to show him some things, and I'm going to let him know that I did this. Let's go ahead and dive right into this, and let's get right to this real quick before I rewind it.
Does it deserve the utterly insane outrage it's getting? I don't think it does. It is, first and foremost, a game.
There we go with that again, right? So just think about what he just said. It's just a game. This is someone who does not understand the rage of the Japanese culture and how much they've been done wrong. Not only that, but this is someone who just wants to see it as a game and not realize that why did Thomas Likely write that book then and edit the Wikipedia? Here, let me help you out since you're so ignorant with your hollow statements. Here, buddy. Thomas Lockley. Make sure to look into him. Do your research here. Because this is the guy who fabricated a lot of things. And then he also has a partner right here who wrote the book for him that a lot of people just don't look into. Geoff Girard. You see, African Samurai, Yasuke. These are the people behind it that are fabricating this. And this guy still has not shown back up till he's done, um, you know, uh, since he's done all those terrible things. And he just doesn't exist anymore. Everybody else is taking the heat. Like I said, nobody looks at his partner either, which I think is very interesting. And, you know, it just blows my mind when people come on here with all the ignorance and then they say stupid stuff like that, like it's just a game. No, dude, it's a lot more than that. Otherwise, they wouldn't edit Wikipedia. They wouldn't disrespect Japan like that. They wouldn't bring in their actual history. That's not just a game. It's way beyond a game. Shut up with all that nonsense. So let's start over and see what this imbecile has to say real quick. Just to give you guys an insight real quick.
Bit of a different video for me. My usual content is playing and reviewing AC games and making guides, but for the past few months I've been following what's going on with AC Shadows with great interest. I thought the best way to lay out this video was to discuss all of the controversy surrounding it and then explain why I think AC Shadows could still be great. Could being the key word here.
Dude, great? Like, do you know what great is? It could possibly turn out to be a solid game if they delay it even more and fix a lot of issues, move back to DEI stuff. Like I said, okay, it has a chance of being a solid game. Like if you just look at it for what it is as a video game, but being a great Assassin's Creed game, yeah, I think they permanently messed that up.
So sit back, take a deep breath, watch the video till the end before writing your angry comments, know that I am in no way sponsored by Ubisoft, and let's crack on.
That doesn't mean anything. And angry comments is such a stupid take. Definitely when you want to say dumb stuff like it's a game and all these other things he's going to say. We're going to get into it.
So the first big historical inaccuracy, or Shadow's biggest talking point, is one of our protagonists, Yasuke. There's a ton of deliberation between whether he was a samurai, whether he was a retainer, or whether...
Dude, he's not a samurai. Do you know how long it takes to become a samurai? On your way to becoming one too, you get to know the samurais in Japan. It's like you going in their club. People will respect you and then they will say you are an official samurai now. You went through battle. We see you're good enough to trust on the battlefield. Not only that, but they got him writing Japanese, but obviously in the wrong way. Then they have him doing karate up in the field. Tencent was behind this, so let me help you out with that too, since you don't know anything about them, because I didn't see you mention them. So, here goes Tencent. Look into this dude when I send you this. This guy's worth 45.5 billion. He's the mastermind behind it, Chinese Communist Party. Also look into why Tencent joins forces with Ubisoft's Fight Back, why Tencent is considering a buyout of Ubisoft. Do your homework, because you said you looked into things, but yet I find it funny because there's so much Chinese implementation in this game, and it's not an accident. It's because Tencent is controlling the board.
He was essentially a sort of rare commodity for Oda Nobunaga to parade around. What we do know with the limited information on hand is that he is an African man who came over with Jesuit missionaries, likely as a slave, who ended up in the service of Oda Nobunaga. So him being a samurai and him being the focus of an AC game set in Japan, let's just say has not gone down well. We'll talk more.
Yeah, it's wrong because it's DEI interjection. It's not natural history. Trying to show how he struggled in a story that could have been a side story, and you could have seen that along the way. It's the right way to do things. There's nothing wrong with him being in the game. No, the way they put him in the game with the DEI implementation is incredibly wrong and disrespectful in so many ways. Not only to his history, he's dead, but also to the Japanese male for him not representing his history. It's not really an argument. It's just understanding that it's wrong. There's clear right and there's clear wrong. Otherwise, you just want to be confused.
More on this later.
Or ignorant.
Other historical inaccuracies is that there are currently flags and banners with symbols in this game that never existed. That's quite a rare achievement if you think about it, because I'm sure a quick Google search could have provided the answers they needed for this, but there we are. On top of this, there is also some Chinese architecture within Japanese cities, obviously not accurate, and just to add an extra bit of controversy.
But how did Chinese architecture get in there? Chinese influence. That's what I just said. You might want to look into Tencent. See, they also have like 49.9% stake in Ubisoft and 10% on their stock.
Some of the music in-game features a sort of hip-hop Japanese mashup for Yasuke, adding somewhat fuel to the fire. But probably the worst mistake they've made, and definitely the most offensive, is the game's statue of Naoi featured on top of a half-Torii gate. I have to assume that this wasn't on purpose, as that is a famed symbol representative of the atomic bombing of Nagasaki.
But it's just a game, though.
Yikes. So those are, I believe, all of the current historical inaccuracies or embellishments that the game is making, but let's also talk about our other protagonist, Naoi. Now, it's no secret that we live in a culture where sexism is pretty rife, for both men and women. You can of course disagree with me here entirely, but we live in an era where we're constantly discussing masculinity, what makes a man and what makes a woman, wokeism, and we have some very extreme views on both sides. Simply enough, this topic gets clicks, no matter what your opinion is.
Round 1. Fight!
In fact, with the anticipated Ghost of Yotai, the follow-up to Ghost of Tsushima, there's also been a ton of negativity. Not as much as Shadows by any means, but still a lot, solely because the...
I wouldn't say a ton of negativity, but more like what does a trans or non-binary or gender fluid activist have to do with the female in that Japanese setting? It has nothing to do with it whatsoever, so why even include that when you have 2 billion plus other women, or maybe even more, to choose from? But you decide to make that a target to choose? Yeah, it's not an accident. It's like, why are you being this dumb? Definitely after everything that's happened with Assassin's Creed. Well, the thing is that it's an agenda. They're being funded and it's being pushed and enforced by DEI mafia invasion. So, yeah, it's pretty obvious.
Protagonist is a woman. This just goes to show how the landscape has changed over the past few years, as there have been tons of badass female action stars in movies and games before, so why is this suddenly an issue?
Yeah, like Uma Thurman with Kill Bill. Guess what, though? That was amazing. That was epic. When you see it happen, like, you know what I mean? We can even go to color culture, like Halle Berry played Catwoman, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter when it's like, you're qualified in a position and you're not tearing down the quality of a world that was built by other cultures, but you're coming in and joining in with love and doing the right thing. And then you got the right director to make sure I'm not going to tear this down. Because when I think about these people being able to come into here, the people that are leading are the problems because you're supposed to be better leaders and never allow that. So this is failed leadership all across the board. This is betraying your own IP or betraying your own country. It starts with the leadership. Because you're not going to be able to do that if the leaders and the people who are in power and in those seated positions are allowing it. Point blank, period.
Now, part of me wonders whether the outrage of our other protagonist Yasuke would be so massive if our counterpart was a standard Japanese male. This way, many people
What should have happened? It should have been a Japanese game. You're representing Japan. We all know this, but guess what? Who did that? It was the French teaming up with the Chinese and pushing this agenda. And China being the masterminds behind it. Yeah. And if we talk about communism, do we want to separate that from the far left Democratic Party? No. They all sleep in the same bed.
might feel satisfied getting to play their ideal standard protagonist with the choice of playing a hulking, heavy-hitting African samurai if they so choose. We'll never know, of course, but I'd lean to say there would be less outrage for sure.
Black. If I don't say it, I'll pass out.
So when you couple together historical inaccuracies, an interesting and controversial protagonist, and a company that has a somewhat negative opinion from much of the gaming community, with the current hate-filled social media climate we live in today, you get this.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
Taking a
Yeah, it's called stirring the pot and then backing off and disappearing. You do it on purpose.
step back and looking at all of that, yeah, it's not great. I can't lie to you. Ubisoft should definitely have hired a bunch of historians to make this game as respectful as possible. Above all, it would just show that they care, would help immerse you in the world, and overall will only help your gaming experience. So whilst I think it deserves some backlash for sure, does it deserve the utterly insane outrage it's getting? I don't think it does. It is first and foremost a game. Assassin's Creed has always played fast and loose with history.
Also, Ironside George, I recommend you watch Dash Blue's videos. He's incredibly humorous with the way he's covered stuff. There's so much you can watch to see why this is a problem. And stop trying to make it seem like it's because it's Yosuke only. I mean, he didn't really do anything. It's the way that they're using him in the wrong means. And this is nothing new when it comes to politics, because it gets people back into black and white nonsense again. And it's just a loophole. That's why it's called Congress, not progress.
From made-up characters taking part in historical events, mystical Isu gods, even representing real historical people in a way that doesn't reflect what they were actually like. And that is okay.
That's called mixing in fiction, because you still want to make it a video game. You don't want to make it boring. But the majority of Assassin's Creed has always been historically accurate. Every single architecture, every single landscape, every single design, all the lores that you get on every single aspect. Even the people that put in there are historically accurate. Like everywhere you're running, man, there's so much history that is richly filled in it. Don't try to give me this crap and try to make it seem like, well, you want to grab a couple things and then try to shut down everything else and say, see, it's not about historical accuracy because you want to do snippets and nitpick. Yeah, that's not going to work on me. I don't have a low IQ.
These games have never been historically accurate. The world might try to be accurate, but the gameplay and story certainly never has been.
Yeah,
in
you didn't beat
AC3,
them.
for example, Connor was at the damn signing of the Declaration of Independence and led troops on the Battle of Bunker Hill. Did that happen? No. Have you ever seen one comment of someone complaining about this? Probably not.
No, because the game was still satisfying. That's the video game part. They tell you this all the time. But once again, there you go. You're nitpicking to try to highlight one part and ignoring all the historical accuracy is a major aspect. When you design the whole entire architecture and landscape of a game to make sure it's historically accurate and you work with historians, historical accuracy is very important. Once again, you're very ignorant and it's just not working.
Now, was it sensible to have one of our lead protagonists as an African historical figure in a game set in Japan? It's an interesting choice for sure, and even if you look at it from an Assassin's Creed perspective, so you're a hidden assassin, but you're a foot taller than everyone else with a completely different skin tone. How is that going to work? Well, from a gameplay perspective, they've already showed us exactly how it's going to work. When AC Origins released, granted now it's pretty respected, people hated it
That was an amazing game.
because it's an RPG game, and many still do to this day. We then had AC Odyssey and Valhalla, two other massive RPG games, and fans were calling for a revival of the old style of Assassin's Creed. Now, we did get AC Mirage dubbed as a return to the roots, which I'm not going to get into, but the point is that we have three sets of AC fans now. people who like the older games, people who like the new RPG style, and people like myself who just like a good game, despite whether there are RPG elements within it or not. So along came AC Shadows, with one protagonist, Naoi, designed to be our assassin and shinobi, highlighted massively in her parkour abilities and stealth aspects from the gameplay we've already seen. And then we have Yasuke, a clear samurai who can't hide for obvious reasons, taking on the big combat scenarios in game, literally smashing through doors and making a shit ton of noise. Yasuke also can't do a leap of faith, nor does he have a hidden blade, because he isn't meant to. This is supposed to be
Because they're trolling and they're being disrespectful. They know he doesn't belong in the game. But like I said, this was done to cause an outrage, a political outrage, for people who are easily controlled by that nonsense, so people can miss the bigger picture. Obviously, that is a problem, but there's so much wrong with this game that you can remove him and it's still a huge issue.
a mashup of both old and new AC gameplay styles. You play how you want, literally choosing which character you'd like to use for each scenario. Even how Yasuke is treated by NPCs, so bowing as he walks past, backing away in fear, looking at him with curiosity, he does not.
Yeah, in Japan, you wouldn't walk around in a village with armor like that, and those people would not bow to some random guy. He should strike no fear because he doesn't have any power. He came as a slave, so they were looking at him as a slave that was just walking around. See, if you use your common sense, you're like, wait, why are you bowing to a slave? Who? No, the people that they'd probably be worried about are the Jesuits of Rome, because those are the colonizers. He don't have any power. See, this is just common sense. You know what I mean? This is intelligence. This is being aware. This is using your deductive skills. But we live in a world today where people just don't have that. And I believe in something like evolution. Yeah, thousands of years and you're still that dumb. Okay. But Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and all this degeneracy all around. I mean, come on. Let's just wake up. We know that's another religion. A dark religion. That's not good.
Not fit within feudal Japan. That is exactly the point. I actually think this could work for a really cool story aspect as well.
Okay, for a video
How is he
game.
going to be treated by his other characters? How is he going to establish himself within this world as such a rare commodity? Personally, and it seems like no one is really talking about this given the fact we have a female assassin and a black samurai as our leads,
She's actually Chinese modified. You should look up the Zun, X-U-N, that they have her playing as an instrument, which of course Ocarina is established based off that in a certain way. Because China does have a lot of stuff. I mean, they've been around a very, very long time. But it's one of the oldest instruments in the world. But still, if you want to represent Japanese culture, you would have been better putting an ocarina in there. We know that that's implemented in the Zelda series a lot. But there's just so much Chinese implementation in here. And you can't say that somebody who knew what a Zun was not Chinese. Why would somebody randomly know, oh, let's just put a Zun in here, right? Oh, no. It gives you more idea about the CCP.
actually think the gameplay looks pretty good. Stealth looks fun, with new abilities like the grappling hook, utilising the light, strangling people, kunai, hiding on the ceilings, creeping through water, the works. And I also think Naoi's parkour also looks pretty decent too, despite maybe the constant unnecessary flipping. And with Yasuke, I also think his combat looks good as well, kicking people through walls, using a rifle, lots of weapon choices, with a huge amount of gore and a new combat system to boot. And of course, and surely you cannot deny this, the world looks friggin' beautiful. Assassin's Creed, in my opinion,
Tons of games do it. Today, every game looks good. This guy's talking about a bunch of nothing to prove his point how we're wrong. What an idiot.
despite their ups and downs, have always delivered beautiful worlds in their games. Even if the story isn't good, that isn't going to be a game-deciding factor for me. I just replayed AC Unity, a game with some fantastic gameplay but a lackluster story. And although its story, in my opinion, is disappointing, it is still one of my favourite AC games. This may be a deal breaker for some people, but for me, the story is one important aspect, not the important aspect.
Are you going to tell us why we're wrong?
Which of course is how the game actually plays. And the big reason I'm holding out hope this game will be good is that ultimately Ubisoft needs to get this right, and actually from the update they've given and an article from Insider Gaming, where I'm getting a lot of the upcoming information from, they've definitely made some good first steps. If you don't know, although I'm sure you do, aside the controversy of AC Shadows, Ubisoft has not had a good few weeks. Not only has their stock dropped rapidly, but their latest massive game, Star Wars Outlaws, hasn't performed even close to what they'd hoped. Ubisoft have actually publicly stated that AC Shadows was delayed to polish and refine the experience, and in its earnings update, Ubisoft also shared that the delay was due to the learning from the Star Wars Outlaws release, which, by the way, has just surpassed a small 1 million sales, with critics rating the game 76 out of 100 on Metacritic, and the user score at a far lower 5.4 out of 10. So, with those numbers, its performance has clearly made them rethink their approach to AC Shadows, with it not only being delayed until February 2025, but with them also putting all Assassin's Creed games back on Steam, a request that supposedly every Ubisoft team has been pushing for years. Sources have said, and I quote, "The team has been actively addressing the game, fixing architecture supposedly," and I'm quoting again, "historical experts were brought onto the project much later than usual for That's why AC Shadows was delayed, certain aspects."
Oh no, it's still a lot more than that. Yeah, okay, so that's enough of this guy. He's not going to tell us why we're wrong because we're not. He's wrong. He made a clickbait title. He's ignorant. He doesn't know what he's talking about. This was not professional. This was annoying. But hey, I'm glad to put him on blast, right? Y'all get this out everywhere. Let's make sure he gets corrected. And he should look into how Assassin's Creed Shadows only had 900 pre-orders. And yeah, it didn't do too well. Nobody wants the game. So yeah, that's not being great. Thanks for letting me know that you're another ignorant who's uneducated and had so much information in front of him, but yet you still want to post this and tell us that we're wrong. See, that's where you messed up at. Your title is wrong. You're wrong. You didn't prove why anyone was wrong. And yeah, what an hollow video. All right, y'all like, subscribe. Let me know what y'all think. Japan, you know we're going to continue this, and everyone else that's along with it over in West Society, people who love the series that don't like what's going on with it. Yeah, hang in there, y'all. All right, tons of great video games out all the time anyways. I'm enjoying Dragon Ball Sparking Zero right now. Amazing game. Space Marine 2. We got a lot of great games around the corner. But yeah, peace, y'all.